Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something absolutely wild. One of the most profound and genuinely fascinating texts in ancient Indian philosophy, the S'rimad Devî Bhâgavatam. Now, what makes this specific text so incredibly captivating is how it takes two completely different worlds and just mashes them together flawlessly. On one hand, you've got this infinite, mind-bending cosmic philosophy about how the entire universe is created and destroyed. But then, on the other hand, all of that is anchored by this shockingly precise mathematical structure. It's like a perfect fusion of the boundless cosmos and a strict, organized code. We're going to break down both of those aspects today, right down to the ancient blueprints.
But to really get this, we kind of have to set the mood first. Listen to this opening invocation. I call to my mind the mother of all the worlds who creates this universe and in the end resolves all these into herself. Wow, just think about those words for a second. Those are the profound opening thoughts spoken by the sage Sri Sûta, right as he's getting ready to answer some seriously deep questions from the other wise sages. It instantly sets this tone of absolute reverence, right? And it introduces us to the ultimate power of this whole worldview, a feminine, maternal, cosmic force.
All right, so here's our roadmap for today. We're going to hit 4 main stops. First, the supreme primal power. Second, beyond Brahma and Vishnu. Third, we'll look at the anatomy of the Purana itself. And finally, we'll wrap up with the 3 divine energies. Let's get into it. Part 1. The supreme primal power. Let's talk about the cosmic root. Okay, before we can even begin to map out the structure of the universe, we have to understand the energy that's actually powering the whole thing. The Vedas call this supreme primal power Vidya, or the highest primal Shakti. And this isn't just some vague, abstract idea. This power is omniscient. She knows literally everything. She controls the absolute innermost workings of every single thing in existence. And I absolutely love this next phrase. The text says she cuts the knot of the world. That's a metaphor for severing the ties of worldly illusion and granting true spiritual liberation. Oh, and while the text mentions that she can't be realized by the wicked, she is remarkably visible to the Munis, the wise sages, whenever they drop into deep meditation. So what does this primal Shakti actually do? Well, her cosmic role is sweeping, to put it mildly. She doesn't just passively exist out there somewhere. She actively orchestrates the entire universe. She's the creator. She dynamically manages both the preservation and the destruction of everything through her inherent qualities, the Rajasic, Sattvic, and Tamasic energies, which we'll define a bit more clearly later on. But consider those last 2 points for a moment, because they are just incredibly poetic. Ultimately, she resolves absolutely everything back into herself. And during the period of cosmic dissolution, when literally nothing else exists, the text tells us she plays alone. Moving on to part 2, beyond Brahma and Vishnu. This is where we get into cosmic dependence. Now, this is where we hit a massive paradigm shift. You see, the traditional view, held by a lot of folks who know the Vedas, is that Brahma is the totally independent creator of the universe. He's the guy making it all happen. But Sûta, he actually challenges this directly. He points out a widely accepted fact from the lore: Brahma is born from the navel lotus of Vishnu. So Sûta argues, well, if Brahma originates from something else, he can't possibly be an independent creator, right? He is inherently dependent. And Sûta basically maps out this brilliant, undeniable chain of logic for us. It goes like this. Step 1, Brahma needs Vishnu's navel to even exist. Step 2, Vishnu himself is sleeping on the serpent Ananta, so Vishnu depends on Ananta. Step 3, Ananta isn't just floating around in nowhere, he's supported by the cosmic waters, the ocean Akarnava. And then Sûta drops the ultimate logical conclusion in step 4. A liquid requires a vessel. Water cannot rest without a container to hold it. Therefore, he deduces, there simply must be a foundational supporter of all things, the mother of all beings. Logic points straight to the Divine Mother. It just makes total sense, right? All right, part 3, anatomy of the Purana. Let's look at the physical code. Okay, let's pivot away from the infinite, boundless cosmos for a second and look at the actual physical code of the text itself. 18,000. Just let that number sink in. That is the sheer scale of the S'rimad Devî Bhâgavatam. It contains 18,000 pure verses. This monumental compilation was put together by the great sage Vyâsa. It was a massive undertaking, perfectly designed to take all those infinite concepts we just talked about and house them into a structured, readable, physical format.
And what's really fascinating here is that Vyâsa didn't just casually jot down 18,000 verses at random. Oh no, he was meticulously organized. He divided the whole text into 12 auspicious books, or skandhas, and the chapter breakdown is incredibly specific, starting with 20 chapters in the first book, going all the way up to a massive 50 chapters in the 9th, and wrapping up with 14 in the 12th. Add all of those up, and you get exactly 318 chapters. This is a highly engineered roadmap. It proves that this ancient wisdom wasn't just about flowery, abstract poetry, it was about rigorous organization. They were preserving knowledge through exact mathematical structure. Now, you can't just write a really long book with a bunch of chapters and call it a Purana. There are rules, a strict checklist, actually. The source material says a text is only officially a Purana if it hits these 5 exact characteristics. It has to describe 1. The primary creation of the universe, 2. The secondary creation, 3. The dynasties, 4. The manvantras, which are these massive cosmic epochs or cycles of time, and 5. The histories of the Manas and other ancient kings. The Devî Bhâgavatam checks absolutely every single one of these boxes, cementing its supreme authority. And that brings us to our final stop, Part 4, the 3 divine energies. Let's bring this all full circle. We're going to tie that strict physical structure we just looked at back to its spiritual essence. The text describes the ultimate, absolute nature of the Divine Mother as Turiya Chaitanya. This state is totally immutable, meaning it never ever changes. It's the ever omnipresent refuge of the universe. Sûta notes that this supreme state is completely beyond all physical, observable traits of nature, and it's a state you can really only attain through the deep, dedicated practice of yoga. But here's the catch. To actually interact with the physical universe, that unchangeable consciousness has to express itself dynamically. So the crucial question is, how does that single, unified consciousness actually delegate power to manage the cosmos? Well, it expresses itself as 3 distinct, powerful feminine forces, the Tree Shakti. First, you have Mahalakshmi, representing the Sattviki Shakti. That's the energy of harmony, preservation, and purity. Then you have Sarasvati, representing the Rajasic Shakti, the fiery energy of passion, action, and creation. And finally, Mahakali, who embodies the Tamasic Shakti, which is that absolutely necessary energy of destruction, transformation, and dissolution. These 3 forms work in flawless unison to keep the endless cycles of the universe turning. Which brings us to a final thought I want to leave you with today. We've talked about ancient texts, cosmic logic, and strict structural codes. But, this philosophy isn't just dusty ancient history. It's describing the actual mechanics of nature right now. Take a look at the modern world around you. Where do you see the harmony of sattva, the dynamic action of rajas, and the necessary destruction and resetting of tamas? How do these 3 primal qualities continue to govern the cycles of creation and dissolution in our own observable universe today? Something to think about. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. Keep observing, keep questioning,